From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
And I'm Jen.
You are. And we have two
Jen's
guests.
back. Jen's back.
Jen's back.
We have two guests. And Vicki's very excited Jen's back, in case you couldn't tell. We have two guests. We went to an HPDE this weekend. We were at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We had two people who had not been on a track before. One of them, Miss Vicki and Miss Jen's sister. It's amazing how they both have the same sister. But anyway, her name is Debbie. Welcome to the podcast, Debbie.
Deb, please.
Deb.
Only
Deb.
Intimates can call me Debbie.
Deb Stanish.
I allow my
Deb.
sisters to call me Debbie.
I do as Vicki tells me to do. So.
That's right. And you may call me Debbie in the privacy of our own home, but
Okay,
yes.
very well.
Thank you.
All right, Deb, welcome.
Thank you.
And,
Lovely to be here.
and we have someone who we met at our hangar several months ago. She came out, she test drove, she played. I believe she is a autocross group member with most of the Shifting Points podcast. We would like to welcome her to the track racing cotillion that we are, because she went out on track in the Hyperdrive event at the NASA event this weekend, and I believe she had a good time. I hope she had a good time. That was the goal, to have a good time. We have Miss Lisa. Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I did have a
Welcome.
good time out on track.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent.
this is Deborah Stanish and Lisa Burke.
It's
Yes.
Deb.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, ladies, I'm outnumbered severely today. And by the way, this is only part one, because we're going to have part two, because we had even more people at the racetrack this weekend.
I'm going to have to break this one up.
Yep. We have way too many people to talk to on one podcast, but we're going to do it again next week. So you guys get to hear one. Can't speak today. Part one and part two. Race hangover is real, people. That's all we say. All right. Who wants to go over what the track was?
Well, the track was the, how's best to put it, lightning track,
Yes,
who has
very
its own history about it that we all know of.
Yep.
The
Look at
track,
map.
yeah, just look up Lightning NJMP and it speaks for itself. The weather was nice.
Phallic. The word you're looking for is phallic, Vic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the weather was nice. It was a little bit chilly. There was a great turnout for NJMP NASA Northeast.
Mhm.
For the end of the season. It was a little chillier than I would have liked it to have been, but we didn't have any rain, which was awesome.
It's November.
Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, but rain on top of it would have been miserable. So
This is true. We did not have rain. But you know what we did have? We had Debbie's favorite time clock shift.
Yeah, I do like, it is nice getting that extra hour. It wreaks havoc with your system. And I think they should just abolish daylight savings times, period. Just stick with one clock. We'll all get used to it. We are no longer an agrarian or, the society that needs that. But that's another podcast. Don't complain about. But
the
still, that
rant
extra hour was
podcast.
nice. Yeah, it was nice to get that extra hour on Sunday morning because, we were feeling it Saturday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is true.
Mhm.
This is true. Lisa, I don't know your background as well as I probably should. How many autocrosses have you partaken in? Is this like a once in a while thing, or are you like a autocross sicko, or somewhere in between?
Probably somewhere in between. This is my fourth season that we just wrapped up, and we usually go, it feels like every weekend, but 20 to 30 events per season, roughly.
So like 8 or
Wow.
9 minutes a time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Whole lot of seat time.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
That's
Debbie,
pretty awesome. That's
Oh,
a lot
sorry.
of events.
It
That
is a lot
Mhm.
of events.
that is.
Yeah.
Debbie, can you summarize your track and high performance driving experience?
I have 4 children and I've driven a lot of carpools.
Okay. All right. Very well.
And, when you're trying to get multiple children to multiple events, it can get a little hairy. Like I got some skills,
Okay.
There might have been a little autocross in there also. There
just a little bit. But no, this was
track fit.
this was the first time I've actually driven around a track. So I am a rank newbie.
Newbie.
Well, wait a minute. I have driven with Debbie. I've been in the car when she has driven in New York City. That's an experience.
That
in itself.
counts. That counts.
You
I was
show
very
no fear.
impressed.
Show no fear, and blinkers
Show
are
no
a sign of
fear.
weakness.
That's right. They see a dent in your car. They know you're not there to F around. You just go.
That's right. So, for anybody who has paid attention to our podcast in the least bit, it will come to them as no surprise that we went over our goals the night before at our dinner, where most of us were able to get to. It was a fairly arduous commute for some of us, but we all got there eventually. Let's see. I wrote it down. The first person I have their goals on my sheet, which is literally the back of this specials menu, but whatever, it works. I can read it. Miss Jen, I have your goals. I know you know what your first goal is.
And my second and third.
Yes, but I talked you into another one.
You did. So my ultimate goal was to not lift.
On the straightaways.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And we will talk about the results.
And we will talk about that, but I'm pretty pleased.
Okay. All right. She's skipping to the punchline already, but all right. Do you remember what I talked you into for your second goal?
Well, there were a few that kind of poked up when throughout the weekend.
Mhm.
But one of them that I recognized was certainly not letting people buy me as much.
Yes. Not surrendering the entire track to
Not surrendering. Yes.
Yes.
And what was the other one, Bill? You did have
It
one.
was to have there's a turn, I believe it's 9 and 10 on the track map. It's called the bowl.
Yeah.
Your goal was to be green on the Apex Pro in the second half of the bowl.
Yes.
Yes, and you did quite well.
Which
on
goes
both of
back
those.
to not lifting. So yeah, but because I tend to do that.
So in probably the most unfair situation of the weekend, I asked Debbie what her goals would be, and having never been on the track and never been to a track event, it was probably the most unfair question of the weekend. But Debbie, you did come through with 3 goals. Do you remember what they were?
I think the first one was not to pee myself.
It was on the list, but it was not the first one.
Was not the first? Okay.
I talked you out of that. Was their first goal.
I think my first was because you guys have been doing this for a while. And it's not that I felt left out of the conversation in any way, shape, or form, because you were all very generous in talking about this thing that you love. But I think my main goal was to understand the language. Like, what is it about this that fascinates you? What is the terminology? Like, I just wanted to feel like I was more a part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the goals that we wrote down were, you wanted to find out what this is,
Mm-hmm.
and then hopefully whether you liked it or not, which I
Mhm.
think maybe. It's always tough to
Maybe.
tell the first time. And then the third one was understanding the line and potentially use it for some of the time.
Yeah, that was a thing. I didn't even know what a line was.
That's okay. We
I do now.
fully understand. Lisa, do you guys have lines in autocross?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. That is the one. I don't want to leave you out because you didn't make it to lunch. I mean, you didn't make it to our dinner, so we didn't get you down. So let's see. Miss Vicki, do you remember what your goals were?
Yeah, she made it to our dinner.
I was going to say, she was there. She was drinking a blue drink.
She's not
Yeah.
on my list. You didn't
Yeah.
make my list. Lisa,
My
do you
goal
have
was-
goals?
I was support crew, so my goal was to make sure that all the girls were where they were supposed to be, when they were supposed to be there.
Yep.
And nobody forgot anything.
Well,
Mhm.
you did good right up until that last one. We'll talk about that later. I'll give you a hint that nobody was me. Anyway, Miss Vicki, do you remember what your goals were?
I remember two for sure. One was not lifting, and
Sounds familiar. I've heard that one.
right. And one was to run the track one gear higher. I don't remember
Yeah.
what my third possibly was.
It was to concentrate on your vision, especially mid corner and exit.
Yes. That's right.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing what we have. Miss Lisa, you are pit crew extraordinary. You were fantastic for everyone, but you had come directly with Elizabeth. Do you want to cover what Elizabeth's
Yes.
were? Do you remember?
Well,
I don't know if
we-
I remember hers.
We should let Lisbeth do that though.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll let Elizabeth do that. But anyway,
Yeah.
Elizabeth did very well. Audra did not make it to dinner, so we do not know what Audra's were. We're going to pretend we do in the next episode, though. That's fine.
Yeah.
Adam, who will be here on our next episode, we have his. We'll cover those later. And I guess I was there, right? Was I there?
Yeah, we literally had about 14 people in our pit at one point in our paddock, which was awesome. I love having that many people around. I think it went very well.
Would have been even bigger if we could have got 3 Pedal Mafia there.
Right. So it was about 14 people. Half were driving and about half were new or novice of those. So
Half of the half.
half of the half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Bill, did you have any goals for this weekend?
I did, but Vicki doesn't apparently want to talk to them about them.
Okay, go ahead. What were your goals, Bill? Yes,
Oh.
Bill went in instructing.
I did. Instructing.
Yes, he did.
Best
How did
I
it go
could.
for you?
Best I could. I don't know. It's up to my students. Doesn't matter what I think. I wanted to set a personal record at Lightning because why not? And then I wanted to try out the different tires sizes that we had, which we got to do. Not
Indeed.
not quite the way we planned on
Can
it.
we all admire my restraint? Can we admire my restraint here?
Well, you know what's funny is that
It's
that's
coming.
not the first time Bill's gone off the track with a student.
That's right.
And he's only been doing this like twice.
More
He's
than
2 for
twice.
2.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Anyway, did we have any car prep issues, my dear?
We did. We did have issues, but on Tuesday before the race, I ended up driving from nothing that was major. There was a click in Debbie's. I'm sorry, the car that Debbie was driving, which was the red ND Miata. We kept hearing a loose clicking or banging up underneath. So we ended up finding out that it was the sway bar that we had installed in the front end that was loose. The link to that was loose. So we tightened that up, got her buttoned up, sent her on the way with the ND, and she was going to drive that to from Philadelphia on down to NJMP. My car, I'm still trying to figure out the mega squirt in the turbo. So I went from Scranton to Northeast Connecticut and Putnam to go for I think 14 hours a drive back and forth. Was not 14 hours, but the time frame to go get my my car tuned, street tuned from a friend from Alex Levinson. And yeah, so I ended up getting out there early on Tuesday, coming back 2 a.m. on, between Tuesday and Wednesday. And that car, it was so great when it took off. It was awesome. And I think your car, we did a quick check on yours too, which was the BMW. We had something going on with that?
Remember the click? We didn't bring it to.
Yes. We kept trying to figure out what the click was. And then we had an issue with the brake pads, and the brake pads, which was the Pagel that are on Bill's
Paget.
We
Pagel,
usually run Ray Bestos on them. And we found out that the Paget has a particular coating on them that allows, not a coating, but a paint coating that allows them to fit tighter into the brake caliper, which doesn't cause it to rattle so much without the clips on it. So we ended up running those before he left. I don't think there was anything else that was going on with your car though, except for the battery.
Yeah, well, that's no big deal.
Yeah, the battery. My car had a battery issue, but I think it's because it was sitting.
Lisa, how did Elizabeth's car go? I know she's driven it. She took it to the skid pad in the autocross event at Lime Rock, but the Spec E30 she drives is relatively new to her, and I think this was her first track day. Do you remember?
It was. Yep, she had done the skid pad and enjoyed, figuring out how to get the back to kick out. And this was also the first time that I'd been along with somebody when they're towing the car down to the track. So that was pretty interesting, the amount of looks we got on the road with the Spec E30 on the back. But I think she was very excited to get out there and drive. And I was just glad to see her be so happy to get back out there and to feel confident in the car.
And which was great was that Lisa had an opportunity to drive that car, which is why, how that car drove.
Yep. That car, I actually, I didn't really feel comfortable in the race seats that she had there. So I ended up taking Audra's car out, which I had driven once before at Thompson on a very rainy day. So this was a nice dry experience.
Oh, good.
A little chilly, but dry.
Yeah,
very
good. Chilly.
All right, so we're going to start from our least experienced and work our way up. So, Miss Debbie.
Yes.
Generally, how was the event for you? Was it what you expected? How did it go? What were your thoughts? Because you're the new entree.
Newest of the new.
Yeah. So, like I said, this is the first time I'd ever even been around a track. It was, I guess I keep hearing your stories about the lemons. So I thought it would be a little more raucous than it was, but it was cold. So the track atmosphere was a little bit different, but I liked it. I mean, everybody was like having fun, but they were really intent. Like they were there for a purpose. And I like that. I was a little disappointed in the classroom instruction. I'm not going to lie about that. I did not think that was particularly helpful. I understood it more as the weekend went along, but I didn't feel that there was a lot of really teachable moments other than what the flags were. As far as driving around the track itself, the first time I went around was a lot of fun. The second time was terrifying. It was terrible.
The first time you went around that you were driving?
That I drove. The first time I went around. So, Bill was my instructor and I really wanted him to be my instructor because I knew I could yell at him if I needed to. And I do, because I tend to be a very loud person when I'm working through stuff. So
Vicki and Jen are like, no, not at all.
No, I don't know that girl. Who's that? Never met her. So Bill very kindly offered to take me out in his what car did we take out? It was a BMW. BMW.
M3.
The little speedy boy. Offered to take me around the track to kind of show me what it was like, what I would be facing. And I look it down at one, and I was sliding all over the seats. It is not a good car to be a passenger in.
No,
I'm hanging on for dear life. But I'm observing and thinking, okay, we're going really fast. Look down, it's about 125 miles an hour. Go around. We went around once completely, didn't we? And I think it was on our second lap, turn 5.
Third lap, turn 5.
Third lap, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Next thing I know, we're in the grass, just spinning, and really fast. We were going very fast, and I just closed my eyes. I didn't say anything. I didn't yell. So I just closed my eyes because I had no control of my destiny at that point. There was nothing I could do to make that situation better. I just closed my eyes and then said, well, that was a thing. And I guess that gave me a little bit of confidence that I wasn't going to freak the heck out, like if something happened. But it was, that was my first experience in a race car ever. So that was good.
Way to go, Bill.
Yeah. Trial by fire. This is what we do to the new kids. We take them out and see if they're going to pee themselves right at the beginning, and then we'll know. But I really felt, even at the end of the day, I thought I was getting better. I thought my times were getting better. I felt that I was learning the track a little more. I was really, really uncomfortable with the crests and not seeing the road beyond that just because of the speed. And even at the end of day one, I was like, I don't know that I like this. Like, I'm doing it. I'm not sure that I like it because I don't have confidence in myself, and I don't have confidence in the car. Day 2 was a whole different story. I mean, I got out there. I knew the track pretty well at that point. I felt confident that the car was going to do exactly what the car needed to do, which is huge because you have to unlearn street driving techniques completely.
You just don't do that.
Yeah. So I had to unlearn, that you don't ease a brake down or, you can accelerate in a turn. That's wild. So at the end of day 2, like I felt really good about what I had learned. I learned what a line was. I learned how to trust the car. You could feel what the car wanted to do. It just all made sense. It all clicked on day 2. So day 2 was fun. Day 2 was a lot of fun. And I kind of get it now. I see what everybody's talking about. I can see the adrenaline hit. You get to go really fast. And that turns out to be kind of a rush.
So when you were, I just have a question. Sure. When you end up going to bed on Sunday night and into Monday or Monday into Tuesday, did you have like fast dreams or not? Because I do. After I come off the racetrack, I end up having dreams that have some kind of adrenaline or speedy or something that's in them. And I wasn't sure if you end up getting those.
No, I didn't. It's
part of the process.
Yeah, I didn't have that, but I definitely felt myself thinking about the track and thinking about the turns. Like I kept kind of replaying it in my mind and like, oh, this is where I want to be here. Like, it's like when you ski, right? And when you pick the perfect line when you're skiing to get the right amount of like, it's such a rush. It is like a perfect sweet spot. And I kept reliving those sweet spots on the track, which now I know is the line. So I kept reliving that. And what was really difficult for me, because when I picked up the Miata and everybody's like, oh, you got to get used to driving stick again. Like I exclusively drove stick in my everyday car for like 15 years. I had no problem whatsoever picking that up. I keep trying to shift my automatic car now. So I'm back to driving my Outback. Like, oh, there's no clutch. I keep pressing down on a non-existent clutch and wanting to shift gears in my car.
Much lighter.
That has been the most difficult thing to do.
To go backwards.
Yeah. So, but no, it was a good time. I think I got better as I went along. And yeah, it was a good time.
So we like to say on occasion that just keep in mind that when you're on your way to work, when you're leaving your neighborhood, that's called turn 1.
Yeah, that is a thing. So I think my coach could be a little bit more eloquent in what I did right and what I did wrong. But I think for a first time out, I'm pretty pleased with what I accomplished.
So how was it driving home?
Slow. Really slow. 55 is wide and smooth. I mean, that was rough. That was
rough.
Did
you apex your exits?
I tried not to because I still had the numbers on the car. And as I'm driving, I'm thinking if anybody in this line of cars is going to get pulled over, it will be me. Like
in the little red car with numbers, right?
With racing numbers on it. Yeah. So I was very conscious of, my appearance to the rest of the drivers. But that was rough. I'm not going to lie. That was probably the hardest part of the whole weekend was like looking at that smooth stretch of 55 and thinking, oh man, 80's really slow, really slow.
So, did Bill give you what you needed in the way, or did you find any of his instruction confusing?
No, not at all. I think, and we had a conversation about this. I think every student and teacher has to find their their comfort level in communication. And I am the type of person that likes a lot of information. And I know some people don't. They just want to know the minimal. They want to know what they need to do and shut up and don't talk to me. And I told Bill, I said, the first time he went around, he talked and talked and talked, told me where I need to turn, told me what was coming up, told me what to expect. The second time around, he didn't. And it was like, okay, the track, let's see what you can do. and I bombed like my second lap around, or the second time out. Like, it was just terrible. I was really uncomfortable and nervous. And I told him for the third and fourth time, just like, talk to me all the time. Tell me what's happening. Tell me what I should be looking at, kind of tell me what's going to be over this crest. Cause the one thing, it took me a long time to learn the track. And I don't know why that was. I think it was too much information trying to process everything going on around me. So the more he talked to me, I think it was the better that I did. And it got to the point where he was just commenting on things that I was doing on the second day. Like, he wasn't telling me what to do. He was commenting on the things that I was doing and what I was doing well, and maybe what I want to do next time. But I think once we established what our comfort level in communication was, I think it went really well.
Mm-hmm. Did the early and late apex drills help you at all? Of course, did he explain to you the apex?
And I hated them. Yes. And who knew there's so much geometry like in racing, but yeah, he made me do the early and late one, and I hated it, but it was very helpful. It was gross. It was disgusting. I never want to do it again, but it was very helpful.
It gets easier.
Yeah. And I think like on day 2, I was like, oh, I hit that one early. Ooh, gross. I need a shower. Like, I just feel really dirty now. That was awful. Yeah.
Do you think that one of your next cars might be a manual transmission?
Well, I had to give it up when I had kids, right? Because you need 4 hands when you're driving.
And why do you need 4 hands?
Because you're going to be throwing stuff in the back at them, like, and
French fries,
and just handing, they're dropping stuff, and you got to hand it to them in the car seats, and so no, you couldn't do that with kids. But I don't know, like, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I missed it.
Do you think you might do it again with us?
I think that's, it was I remember my very first overnight hiking trips, and because I'm new to hiking, the 2 of the most profound experiences this year have been both the slowest and the fastest, hiking across Maryland and being in a race car. And the first time that I did an overnight hike and camped out, I said, don't ask me today. Like, don't ask me today whether I want to do this again. You have to let me process this. And that's the way I felt after leaving on Sunday. Like, I need some time to process this. I process it like, heck yeah, like, sign me up. Like, I'm ready to do it again. Like, that was fun. Like, that was big fun. I would definitely do it again.
It kind of gets you, it does get your adrenaline pumping.
It does. A lot. It really does. And I liked the instructional aspect of it. Like, I really wish that Bill and I had more time to sit down and say, okay, this is what it was like, here's how I would rate you kind of as a driver. And sorry, I think you did your first time, first lap compared to the last track, like that kind of thing. Like, I enjoyed that. I wish I had better classroom instruction. I thought the classroom instruction was pretty weak.
I'm actually thinking Pittsburgh. We should do a family trip out to Pittsburgh for Great Lakes. July.
We can make that happen.
We could make that happen.
We'll see.
They have excellent classroom instruction. It just makes so much sense. So
no worries. So we'll cover more about Debbie's weekend later. Let's go to Miss Lisa. Lisa, you are not the most inexperienced of us in terms of driver, but you haven't been to a track or are driven on track. So you want to kind of make sure everybody knows what the Hyperdrive is?
Sure. So it is, some people might call it, parade laps, but it's a lead follow. So you can go as fast as the slowest person can go. I'll put it that way. So there's no passing, but you still get to go out with an instructor and learn, here's where the turns. We did the same thing, a drill with the early and late apex, and just get a feel for what it's like to be out there, because that's kind of the first step, at least for me, was I've done a lead follow at Lime Rock with Porsche Club. I've done, like I said, parade laps in Audra's car at Thompson in the rain, but this was the first time being out with a larger group like that and with an instructor. So it was a good start. I definitely am ready to go again once I figure out the car situation. But then, it is fun. It is something I can see with the addiction. people get into it. But it was a great first step. And Elizabeth had told me before we went, she's like, you get to do this for $50. You get to go out and do, I think it was 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So as soon as Audra said, why don't you take my car? I was like, all right. So I signed up. I gave them my $50. The classroom was practically nothing. I was glad I had gone with Audra to the group 1 classroom session because there is some stuff that, I think they take for granted when you're going to do a lead follow. But it was a good time. It was a really good starter experience, so to speak. And, Audra was very nice. I spent most of the weekend trying to make sure they were supposed to be where they were. And she took me to the grid, made sure I had all my stuff. So it was a good girls' weekend for sure.
Okay. So, Lisa, how did it go? How do you feel like the weekend went for you?
I thought the weekend was awesome. This was the first time that I've actually gone to a full track weekend, so to speak. I stopped in and visited people. I think I saw you guys at Lemons, but to be there for the whole weekend and the whole experience, it can be a little chaotic, especially where all of you guys were in different run groups. So everybody was, classroom, car, driving, classroom, car. It was a lot of movement, but it was also really good to see a lot of other cars. Most of the experiences I've been to are relatively limited to one type of car or another. So seeing all of the different cars there was fantastic. Having races in between the DEs was really nice breakup. So I thought that overall it was a really good experience to have a whole weekend there and do the whole experience, sitting by the fire at night, everybody's sharing tools. I mean, it was a great experience. I would recommend it to any, even just spectator, to go along.
It's controlled chaos.
Exactly.
And
Everybody had their own.
Yep.
We really did have a great group this time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody kind of gelled really well together.
Yeah. Even the some of the instructors, they came over and found us later and hung out, and I got to dog sit. What's better than getting to dog sit?
Because we bring food.
And we bring food.
Yep.
So
much
you
food.
were able to get out on track. How was that?
It was fun. I do wish it was longer, and I do wish that I was in my car. Like, I missed my car. I autocross a 2006 Cayman S, and I kind of missed. I wanted my car. Like I'm looking forward to getting out there and trying it in the car that I know, and I can settle and do what I need to do. But I did find some comparisons to things that I would do in autocross and be mad at myself for there, I was also doing here. So, for example, getting towards a sweeper, my instinct is, oh my God, I've got to turn, I've got to look over there, hit the brake. Like, it's just an instinct to take my foot off the gas and put it on the brake. So I fight that as much as I can in autocross. Audra will tell you the instructors are pretty good at motivating me. But to do it there was, I think, actually a little easier because it wasn't quite as fast. It's not coming up on you as fast. So it was good practice for that, to be able to stay off the brake and just say, okay, I may not keep it all the way to the floor, but I'm going to keep my foot down. I'm going to stay on the gas.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting comparison there.
So did track driving kind of make you feel like it might help with your autocross?
I think it would. I think that there are certain things just in terms of, I didn't grow up as a car person. I didn't get into this world until later in life. So getting to learn that, that there's a line, the apex, having things come up a little slower on you than they do in autocross. When you're on the track, everything takes a little bit longer to get to you. You can think about it more, which may or may not be a good thing for some people. But, I think it's just a different experience to give you confidence being in the car, because sometimes you get a little stuck. And I know, like I said, it's been my 4th season now. And sometimes you can get a little stuck and say, I don't know if I'm doing as well as I could. And to see a different experience and say, I can drive the car. I'm good at this. I just need to be, a little bit more confident in it in both places. So either way, if one of them is going to give me confidence enough to try the other, I think they're going to complement each other pretty well.
So when you mean confidence, what is on the other side of that that makes you feel worried?
I think so. And this is one of those things that it's hard to explain, but people feel like they're going, they say, just go faster. And I feel like I'm going fast. I feel like I'm at my own limit, not the car's limit necessarily, but, I don't have the confidence to say, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm putting my foot to the floor. There's that little bit of fear in the back of my head that I don't have the confidence to say the car is going to be okay. I'll be able to get out of this. So what if I spin? So like you were saying, Deb, you kind of go through a spin and all of a sudden you're like, all right, that wasn't so bad. I can handle that. Not that I want to spin the next time I go to the track. It's a lot higher risk when you do it at a track than an autocross, but you do. And I've done it quite a few times at autocross where, you go spinning around and you're like, all right, I just get going again. So I think getting some confidence in the car and being able to trust what a car can do, what the tires can do, what's the friction circle, all of those mechanics that I've never really learned except in practice. So it's good to see a different experience of how those same mechanics apply when you're going at different speeds.
I think that for me was so huge when you talk about you don't have time to think. So to get to the point where it's becoming muscle memory and it's instinct on where to hit the curve and where to accelerate and where to brake. That is such a confidence builder, because once you start thinking, my first couple of times around, I'm like, okay, there's a cone. I need to go left. I need to go right. I need to go left. And you're just I was just consciously thinking where I needed to go with the car, rather than, okay, the car is naturally going to go into this curve and it's going to naturally drift out, and to work with that rather than to fight against it. Like, oh my God, that was huge. I felt like I was really crossing a huge hurdle when I got to that point.
We refer to them as inputs. Like there is so much that's going on the track. And then when you add traffic on top of it, that Jennifer and I think we discussed that for like the first 2 years when we were doing this. It was just, we had to get all this other stuff like Debbie was just discussing to get to become muscle memory, so we can actually focus on the racecraft part and not have to think so much about the shifting and the braking and the brake zones and the, the apexes and the apex outs. And
it's a lot.
It is a lot. And it's exhausting.
When you're not familiar with it or don't grow up with it, or, you know what I mean? When it's all new to you, it's hard to have that many things in your brain at one time.
I had no idea there was like curbs on a racetrack. Like, what? And I'm supposed to drive over them? What?
Yes.
No, you stay on the black part. That's the rules. The curbs aren't there to drive on.
Yeah, there was at some particular tracks, there's actually parts of the track just beyond it that are like part track, part dirt. And if you hook it just right, it kind of hooks the inside of your tire. And then I've heard about people kind of wheeling it around. I'm like, why would I want to do that? You're just going to damage your car. But nope, people have done it.
Faster.
It's faster.
Yeah.
I know.
So see it all the time in F1.
That's right.
Hit those curves.
So Miss Lisa, you with the autocross experience and now your hyperdrive experience, you still have yet to pass anybody when you're racing. Would you like to come back out and feel what it's like to wave goodbye to somebody behind you?
I would. I think that's probably the first big accomplishment is once you get a point by from someone else.
Okay, so we can look forward to seeing you out there perhaps in the future.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Miss Jen, you were in HPDE 2 this weekend. How was your weekend?
It was great. I had a great weekend. It was a lot of fun. We had a wonderful group. I'm so happy that Debbie came.
Oh my gosh.
Just was over the moon that Debbie was able to come. and Lisa and Elizabeth and Audra and Adam. It was just such a wonderful group. But it was just a lot of fun. It was nice getting back on the track. It was great being able to apply the things that we went over with Ross Bentley, because that was such
Episode
a
250.
great teaching
Mhm.
moment. Yeah. And just thinking about all of those things we talked about, and then just being able to apply them, because again, you can practice on your way to work, but it's not the same.
No, not the same.
Right.
So you were in HPD 2, which means you have intermittent instruction, but you got
Yes.
stuck. You got stuck with some junky instructor you kept getting in your car. What do you think you improved on this weekend?
So like I said, my biggest goal, I had a great instructor all weekend. He was an awesome
Was that when I
instructor.
wasn't in the car?
Huh?
Was that when I wasn't in the car?
No, you
Oh,
were
okay.
you were in the car most of the time, but it was good. It was good to have you there because you knew exactly what I was working on. So it was really beneficial to have you just kind of get in and already know where I was and what I needed to work on. Because Debbie, you talked about, communicating with your instructor, but every time you get a new instructor, you're starting from zero. So, having the benefit of Bill knowing where I was great. But yeah, so again, my biggest thing was not lifting in the straightaway.
And
And I didn't. Well, I
you didn't.
didn't most of the time.
You didn't any of the time that I was there.
Okay.
I
So
had a mop handle stuck on your pedal, but it worked. It's fine.
I mean, Bill just screaming at me, "Don't lift, don't lift, don't lift," helps.
Flat, 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 flat. And then we get out of turn
Yeah, I
one.
got that too. I got a lot of flat, 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 flat.
We get out of turn one.
Come on, don't pass him,
talking about
Shannon. Let's
flat?
go.
Right. So what was the thing that allowed you to conquer your demon?
Besides you yelling at me.
Yeah, besides that,
No.
because I can't do that every time.
I just going in knowing that, I was pretty determined to make the most of the weekend, because I kind of knew it was the last or one of the last of our season. And, I just was really kind of determined to do that. It was, reviewing over and over in my head the things that Ross Bentley had said, and just going in with the knowledge and just the determination to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did your eyes help you?
Yeah, I mean, looking up definitely helps. I mean, that helps in any situation, whether your problem is lifting, not lifting, or whatever. Looking up always helps.
So let's go back to Miss Debbie. Miss Deb.
Yes.
Vision. It's a big deal from racing.
Mm-hmm.
Did it help you when I was trying to help you get better things to look at? Did it help you feel more comfortable?
Absolutely. I think especially coming into the bowl, because you're coming out of turn 7 and you're coming over a crest, and at that point you're just you're flat on the floor, right? I mean, that's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And coming over that crest and not knowing what's on the other side, that was hard for me. Like, it took me a little bit of time to get over that. And I really don't think until it was day 2 that I really felt comfortable doing that. But having the lifting your head and looking around you, and you telling me, don't look here, look at the tree. We're not looking here. We're looking at the tree. That really did help. It helped a lot. And to feel the confidence in being able to handle the speed, being able to handle the car to the point where you can look a turn ahead, or you can look in the distance and see what's happening around you. And you kept saying, especially because turn 1 was my nemesis this weekend. And you're like, okay, you should not be looking at the turn. You're looking beyond the turn. You're looking at that car that's way over there. That's where you should be looking.
Look at the
and I
brake markers.
think that, and I got better at it as the weekend went on. And again, as I felt more confidence in my ability and the car's ability, it allowed me the comfort level to do that and to not just look at immediately what was happening in front of me. And that's how you drive normally. That's how you drive on the street. Like, you're looking 3 cars ahead of you and seeing what's coming up, and just being able to translate that skill onto the racetrack. And when I was thinking about it that way, it made so much more sense. But then again, you have to have the confidence level to be able to trust that you're, not going to end up in a spin and popping 2 tires.
Wow. We'll cover that later.
Saying.
Look at that. You're killing my punchline. But anyway, so Miss Jen, finishing up on your weekend's driving exploits, not lifting, did very well.
Yes.
You were concentrating on other things besides the brake boards.
She went
Yeah.
super fast.
Did.
Fast.
She did.
Mhm.
Let's see what else. How were you doing in the bowl? Because that was your second goal.
I really struggled with staying up high enough on the bowl. I don't know why I kept wanting to go a little bit lower than I needed to.
Mm-hmm. But you were right on the grip, right on the edge of grip, though. So that was good.
Yeah. I mean, I think I did better than I have any other time that I've been there. So yeah.
I can verify this if you wish.
Yeah.
Freaking love the bowl. I just want to keep driving the bowl. I love the bowl.
You know what you'd love if you loved the bowl? You would love a skid pad.
Yes.
I have no idea what that means. That's a word that I have no idea what that means.
It's a pad where you skid.
You kind of drift in a circle.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just keep going around and around. It's fun. So, Jen, you did tremendous this weekend. Debbie, you were fantastic. Couldn't have asked for better students. It was awesome. You both grew tremendously this weekend, and I had a great time with you guys. And now we go to my potential student who will never let me in the car. My beautiful bride. Can you hear me? I'm speaking.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you recognized this. This is my voice, in case
Yes.
I know you.
Yes.
Okay. How was your weekend, dear?
It was good. It was frustrating at times. But yes, no. It was good. Yeah, I mean, I was really happy to get out onto the track. That is a fun, quick track to kind of get a lot of turns in because it's small. So you can practice. Yeah, most of it is straightforward. And but all in all, it was good. I was kind of battling a couple things at the same time. Well, I had the car tuned, so the turbo was different on it, which when first was okay, but when you hit into second, the whole front end would start to lift off and it would just take off like a bullet, which was great. But because I was actually driving of my 3 goals, not lifting, my vision, and driving in a higher gear, the vision, we'll move that aside just for a moment, but going around 1 gear higher and not lifting, I would say on my second turn of the day, I think I spun out on 5 and I saw the rest of the traffic coming around. So I just kind of let it roll backwards off into the grass, which I'm glad I didn't go out into the grass. And of course it was the same nemesis that I had before. So I had to really digest and figure out what I did there. And I forgot to let the car settle, but also I'm going 1 gear higher. So I'm trying to fight the self-preservation that's coming in at the same time. Also because the car's so light and fast, that when I am full out, like I should be, not lifting, and then I'm braking, I have to brake a lot sooner or later. And I just feel the whole back end lift up and I have to fight the wiggle on the back end as I'm trying to brake, which now I have to digest that going around the track 1 gear higher. Because it's not a sensation I'm used to. So I was kind of battling that at the same time. Let me see. I heat soaked my car, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but I have to adjust that. Huh?
Why would it be a good thing for those playing at home?
Well, because I work my car. I really worked the car and it was a cool day. And I know I have to put an oil cooler in it. I know I have to cut vents in it and louvers and stuff, but and that would be okay. You
It's a
know,
good thing because you drove hard enough to do it, right?
yeah, I did.
'Cause
The good
that's-
thing is I went into level 3 this time,
there
and
we go.
yes, I entered into level 3. I kind of got bumped up and out, and
Because you're so good.
well, the big difference between the two, at least for the Northeast, I really can't say anything for the Great Lakes, but for the Northeast, the only thing is that they spoke a lot less about point buys. I mean, they were still there,
Really?
but really, they really didn't talk too much about them. There was like maybe one or two, but and you know, the cars were a lot more powerful and a lot faster. But you know, I just did my point buys, and I made sure the only thing they really ask when we went in, we started out with the standard, you know, passing zones. And then because everything was just really going so well, they decided to open up more passing zones. So they suddenly opened up between, you know, 1 and 2. And then they decided to open up passing in the bowl. And they didn't want any passing in the S's or around 5 yet, or 7, or on 7. But no passing in the turns. But I have to say that you know, just when you see them coming, I was making sure that they had plenty of room, acknowledging the point buy, so they didn't have to slow down. They didn't even have to present. I knew they were coming. Just I'm here. Here you go, and they just never stopped speed. You know, because I was working on my own stuff. I wasn't in there for fast lap or anything like that. I was just really trying to tackle some things. And then I worked on the vision, which was really easy to do on going through the S's, on one especially. Going through the S's, I really practiced the vision because the cones are relatively close together. So I was trying to link up like 2 or 3 cones at a time on my vision and all the way around to 5. And then hitting the bowl, I was really even working on my problem usually is like brake. I brush the brakes. I'm on the overbrusher of the brakes. So just all around. Every time there's a turn, I used to overbrush. So I was really working on not doing that. I was really focusing more on lifting instead of brushing brakes to kind of get the slow that I need to make something. And I was especially working on that in the bowl, was not braking at the cone and then kind of like maybe lifting a bit. Yes.
Were you saying you're hitting the brake too hard, too early, or just over slowing in general?
Overslowing in general, I think. Yeah, because if there was a turn, even though I knew that it was an uphill, and that I can compress the car, and then get the grip that I needed, I would have still hit the brakes, which I shouldn't have to, which is a key thing that I noticed going into the bowl, is because it was an uphill, your car should technically be compressing to the pavement. And you should be getting the grip. So I really tried to lift in certain areas like that instead of brushing the brakes, because I was just trying to maintain balance in the car.
Miss Deb, you found the when we do this for as long as we've done it, as many times as we've done it, we start to take things for granted. You cited the weirdest feeling in that we would go through turns and be accelerating.
Yes.
That is not normal in normal daily driving, although it might be now for you. But was that a big transition for you?
That was that and the braking, you know, like slamming the brake and using that as part of your turning sequence. You know, it's like that's antithetical to how you drive on the street. You know, you never slam the brake down. And you kept saying, if you feel the analog braking system starting to kick in, like you're doing it just right. You know what I mean? Like anything before that, you're not doing it. You're not doing it hard enough. So yeah, it's exhilarating. Like the braking thing is still a little freaky. I'm not going to lie about that, mostly because I think I did better on it in turn 7 than I did in turn 1. Just because you're going, I don't know. It just feels like you're going so much faster in that straightaway, because as the day progressed, I started putting the pedal flatter earlier in the bowl. You know what I mean? Like at first I had to be completely out of the bowl before I was like pressing down completely on the gas. But as the time progressed, I was on track. Like I was doing that earlier and earlier. But it was a rush. I mean, it's a rush going around a curve and just like, and accelerating and just going faster and faster and knowing that your car is going to stay on the track. Like that was the biggest thing. And when I talk about learning to trust what the car can do, because you just feel like I should just be tipping ass over teacups out here because I'm going fast and I'm on an embankment and like this can't, like, this is not how, things, science works, but it does. And I think once that comfort level and being able to know that I'm going around this curve and I am just going to floor it on the curve, like that's radical.
So
it feels really good.
So did you think the car was going to tip over front to back more or left
Yes,
to
I
right
decide.
more?
I just honestly thought I was just going to like, it just felt like, especially because the centrifugal force of pushing you as you're going around that bowl, you're just like, the center can't hold. It just can't hold, but it does. And it just, again, unlearning, I'm not going to say how many years of street driving habits was. And I think, there was a couple times when I was coming out of the bowl and I was just like screaming, like, this is the coolest thing ever. Going really fast out of this curve. Yeah. So that was neat.
So I have a question now. Do you believe me that from the top of the hill in 5 all the way to 7, you can be flat the entire time? Because
I do. I don't know that I can. I think, another day on the track, if it had been, day 3, if there had been a day 3, yeah,
you were close.
Because I was definitely, I was coming out of turn 7 and I was, as soon as you made that turn, like I was on the gas as hard as I could be. And I did lift coming through the bowl. But I got back on the gas pretty quickly after that.
The best part was you yelling at yourself for doing it. That was tremendous.
I know. Like, don't lift.
Why did I lift?
I'm lifting now. Yeah. So, and it's instinct. You know what I mean? It's like fighting instinct against a skill you're trying to learn. And I think that's the biggest thing that I took away from the weekend is fighting that instinct and knowing that the skills are there, that you can accomplish this task.
Yep. If you need data point to support that you can be flat all the way from the top of 5 to turn 7, you have a sister named Jennifer who did it repeatedly.
Nice.
Right, Miss Jen?
I did. Did I?
You did.
You have the data.
Almost every time.
Okay.
Sweet.
It was nice.
So Lisa, what was some of the craziest parts of the track for you that you were experiencing?
I think the same, similar, going over the crests and having those blind spots, the not knowing, I think that would be scarier when I'm not in a lead follow situation, because you don't know if somebody's right there. And even on street drives, gone out with street drives and car clubs, and anytime you're doing that, going over a crest where you can't see is very scary because you can't plan for it. So you're immediately thinking it's going to be the bad thing that happens. And it's like, no, it might be okay.
Maybe.
So getting that idea. And I think, I can't remember if it was Deb or Jen that mentioned it, but when you have to let the car do what it needs to do. So letting the car go out after an apex and using the entire track is very abnormal to someone like me. So letting the car go out like that and then trusting that I'll be able to pull it back into where it needs to go is something that has to be learned. That's definitely a skill that I don't have at this point. And it's funny because our last autocross, it was, again, another pouring rain day. And I took an M3, an E92 M3. And I was like, all right, I know we're going to a track day. I know I might try this hyperdrive thing. I'm going to see if I can look at things almost like they're a track instead of an autocross, like, giving a little bit more room and setting up the turns a little differently. And it was very, very different. So there's just no time in what I normally do to be able to let the car do anything. I need to do everything. I need to tell the car what to do. So there is a certain amount of trust there that has to be built up with the car to say, I'm going to let it go out here and it's not going to catch the grass because I'm going to catch it and go the other way just as soon as I need to go. So it was a little disturbing going over the hills. That I will say.
Yeah.
You know,
right there with you.
Yep.
You know what we gave to you after this weekend, though? You will no longer ever be able to say anything about a high-speed sweeper on an autocross course freaking you out.
I still will. It's gonna. I'll use track to get away from it and to not let it bother me. But it's the difference with autocross and a sweeper is that, at least from what I've had so far, is that you should be looking completely past the sweeper. So if you've got, let's say a 180 turn, your head is over there, and doing that on the track, I think, is a little bit scarier. You have more time and you can make up for someone else's mistakes on the track. But in autocross, it's like my head's already there. I know there's cones right next to me and I'm trying not to hit them. So you're mentally fighting this. I need to look over there, but I need to look right here because I know there's something there. So on the track, there isn't something there, which is kind of nice.
Well, I think even more difficult is that the gear that you're going to be fitted with when you do actually race wheel to wheel will not let you turn your head.
Right.
So you have to use more of your peripheral vision and your sensory awareness and of what your sensory awareness, but also your awareness of everything around you constantly 360 to know what could potentially be coming up on you at the same time. You have to kind of think ahead of the potentials. Because you just can't turn your head to see all the way around the track.
Right. And I think that's one of the good things about track compared to autocross is that autocross is a different course every time we go out there. So everybody's learning the course at the same time, but you only get a certain amount of time to do it. And you have a break in between. So you do a run, then you have this break and you can kind of think about things. But when you do the laps on the track, you're just keep going. So you can keep doing it again and again and again and learn the track and get more comfortable and make your adjustments in real time instead of having to think about it for 5 minutes and then go back out and say, oh, this was the corner. Darn it, I missed the one that I wanted to fix. So there's a benefit there where learning the track, you don't have to do quite as much quick reaction looking that much farther ahead because now you know what's coming.
Right.
All right. So we're in training. We're doing some things right. We're doing some things wrong. But one thing we're good at. How was the food this weekend?
It's very good.
Food was good.
Any highlights?
Jen's roast
Food
beef.
was awesome.
Roast beef sandwich.
All of it was
Roast
good.
beef was good. Yeah.
Vicki and Debbie made most of the food this weekend, and I really appreciate that. And it was amazing. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
I would like to shout out to the 2 Slurpees that were delivered for me. That was awesome. I didn't have to go outside at all.
And I will compliment you, Bill, on the pancakes on Saturday.
Oh, well, got to do what you got to do.
They were awesome.
The people at
Yeah,
McDonald's
Bill slaved.
were quite freaked out. They're like, I'm like, can I have
Hot
10
cider.
pancakes? And they're like, that's 3 orders. I said, no, 10 orders of pancakes. You want 30 pancakes? Yes, I'm quite hungry. Thank you.
Yeah, we had issues with our startup on our griddle. So Bill's like, I can solve this problem.
I know a place that
As
sells
Bill
pancakes.
does.
Drive through. Yeah, it came to bite me later though. Anyway. Anyway, so we have our traditional good, bad, and the ugly. How'd the weekend go? Vicki or Jen should probably go first because they have more experience thinking about the good, bad, and the ugly. Miss Jen.
I can go. So the good was I feel like I accomplished I worked really hard on my goals and did really well with my goals. The bad, there was that that oil or coolant spill.
Coolant spill.
But that wasn't completely bad because I felt like I handled that quite well.
You
So there was for our listeners, there was a coolant spill on the track, and nearly everybody spun out as soon as they hit it. Except for Elizabeth and I. She was behind me, and we were the only ones that I know of that been out.
Can I just point out that those were the two girls that actually took a skid pad trip?
True. Skid pads are awesome.
Skid pads are awesome.
Skid pads are awesome. And of course, I don't know there's any ugly. I didn't feel that there was any ugly. No ugly.
You never do. Miss
I know.
Vicki.
I would say the good was just gelling with the whole group. I mean, that was awesome.
Yes.
That was really awesome. I mean, we had a really, really good group. The bad was to hear about Bill's car. We learned a lesson from it. We really have to check our tire pressures. The ugly, the ugly was Saturday night in the trailer that we rented.
Ooh.
Yeah. So when we light up our griddle, we, light it much like a burn and it lights up. Well, I never cook inside the RVs anyway. And this one particular time I did, and I was like, oh, well, Jennifer's busy. I don't want to go over there. I know it's kind of hectic. I'm just going to go ahead and do this in my trailer that we rented. And I cooked on the cooktop. And in the middle of the night, that cooktop exploded and shattered into a gazillion pieces. And then I realized that it's not a cooktop at all, that you actually have to pull it out and lift it up. So I cleaned it up, and
the flames underneath the glass did not give you any hints to this effect.
You know what? I didn't connect because I was thinking about so many other things that I just didn't register that. So,
and Vic, can I interject here?
Sure.
It was 8:30. It was not the middle of the night.
Well, to me, it felt like the middle of the night,
but it was literally 8:30.
At the crack of 9 o'clock, it blew up.
Because we're sad individuals.
We were pretty beaten up. That was Friday night, wasn't it? It was Saturday night. It was Saturday night. Yeah, it did. So I was like, oh, I got on the text. I'm like, oh crap. So no, we cleaned it up, and I felt so utterly bad. So we found out all the information that we needed to repair it, where to get the pieces from. We cleaned everything up, and, we prepaid to have it repaired. And the guy was really cool about it. He goes, we never use this anyway. But I said, listen, it's super easy to fix. Just these 2 screws right here. This is where you can buy it from. This is with the model number. I didn't want him to work at all, but it was pretty, he was pretty cool about it. I would say that was my ugly.
So let's reenact the discussion we had at the crack of 8:30 at night.
The crack.
Vicki says, Bill, something broke. I'm like, She's like, aren't you going to go check on it? I'm like, no, it's broken. I'm sure it's fine now. Well, why are you going to go check on it? Because I'm not going to fix it.
It's not going to get more broken. It's pretty broken.
I just had no idea what it was.
And then you said, well, then I'll go check on it. And then you come back and you're like, we should call the guy. And I'm like, why would you want to call the guy?
I said, no, we can't call the guy.
Why would you want to call the guy? I actually, for her, I said at this hour. And it's like, why would we call the guy? He's not going to be happy tonight. He's not going to be happy tomorrow. It's going to be so why are we going to do this? But
I knew as soon as I said that would be a bad idea.
Logic. Anyway.
Yeah.
Miss Lisa, good, bad, and the ugly, please.
The good, I drove. I got out and I drove.
You did.
The bad, I think, would probably have to be what happened to Elizabeth's car, and I'll let her tell that story in the next episode.
She missed a couple. She missed a couple stints.
Yeah,
she did.
But you got home early.
We did get home, relatively. We hit quite a bit of traffic, but the ugly would have to be the weather. On Saturday. Sunday was better, but Saturday was cold.
It was cold unless you were moving. Yeah. I mean,
when the sun went under, you knew.
And I forgot my jacket.
If it wasn't so windy, it would have been
Yeah.
as bad.
Yeah,
Pretty
wind didn't
windy.
help.
No, did not.
Yep.
Miss Debbie, your first track event. What do you think? Good, bad, the ugly?
I mean, the good was I learned how to drive a track event.
After a
and
couple years of experience of driving, you learned how to drive now.
I learned how to drive on a track, and I learned what I accomplished all of my goals. And you guys were pumping my tires all weekend, but I do think that I got better as the weekend progressed.
You did.
I don't think I sucked the first time, but I definitely
No,
sucked
you
a
did
lot
really
less.
well.
You did
really
amazing.
well.
I think the bad was, and this is something that I just need to pay more attention to the car itself. So I got pulled into the queue for race 3 and looked down and like, I'm out of gas. I'm 1E. I have no gas. I need to get out of this line because I'm not even going to make it halfway around the track, and they're going to get the toe of shame. So the bad for me was, how could I not pay attention to what's happening with my car? Like that to me was like inexcusable. I should be paying attention to the instruments. I should be looking at that.
When she said no gas, there was like zero range.
There was like zero gas. I'm literally the first person in my lineup to go out, and then Bill's in the car next to me with Audra, and I'm waiting for my instructor because I was going to get a new instructor for that lap or that session, and I'm like, I got to get out of this line. So and then the gas pumps were closed. We couldn't get gas.
No, we couldn't get gas.
That was a whole fiasco. The ugly for me, and I want to go back to, you talked about that coolant spill. So there was a guy on day 1 who something broke, spilled coolant all over the track, pulled over. It really annoyed me greatly the way that was handled. And I just want to talk about that a little, because this is my first event, right? This is the first time I've ever been to an HPDE event. It's the first time I have been to NJMP, the course at all. First time I've met any of these people. So we go to the driver's meeting day 2, and I guess it's a track manager, gets up there and talks about
NASA Northeast.
Is NASA Northeast? Okay.
And
he's he's addressing the crowd. He said, we had a disaster yesterday, and talked about what this and he kept calling him a kid. He said what this kid did, he lost coolant on the track. He got flagged over, and rather than waiting there patiently like he should have, he came in after they waved him in, and he drove the line in and got coolant all over the track, and we had a race the next session. And I never yelled at anybody or reamed anybody out as much as I reamed this kid out. And I thought, wait a second, I just came out of classroom instruction and we learned all about the flags, and you always do what the flagger tells you to do. Like that's rule 1, right? And the flagger waved this guy in, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Now, what I took away from that was you never drive the line if you have something wrong with your car. And okay, that was a mistake that he had made. But I got into my classroom and I said, I have a question about this, because it seems to me that this driver did exactly what the driver was supposed to do. And my instructor's like, well, yeah, but the flagger couldn't see that the coolant was coming out the other side. And I said, well, the driver didn't know that the coolant, what side the coolant, like he didn't know what was going on either. He can't get out of the car. And my instructor's like, well, yeah, maybe, they shouldn't have yelled at him quite as much as they did. And I said, well, what should you do in that situation? And he's like, well, it was an unusual situation. And 99.9% of the time, you always listen to the flagger. I'm like, but I just heard that the flagger was wrong. Like, whose instincts do I follow? There's 2 things that I thought was really ugly about that whole situation. One, that my takeaway was, don't ever screw up, because all you're going to do is get embarrassed and humiliated in front of everybody if you make a mistake, even if the mistake is not entirely yours. And nobody took that moment, and Jen and I were discussing this, nobody took that situation as a brand new driver, which I was, to say, okay, let's turn this into a teachable moment. If that happens, yes, you need to follow the flag, but maybe, always stay over to the side. Don't ever go on the track if you think there's something wrong with your car. Nobody ever said that to me. I wouldn't know as a brand new driver that I shouldn't get back on the track to try to come back in, or I should try to stay, partially on the grass, or to stay, to do that. I have no idea. Nobody ever said, this is what you do in this situation if it should ever happen to you. So I was disappointed in how they handled it, because I thought it was, we're not going to tell you what you need to do. We're just going to humiliate you. It did not make me feel very comfortable as a new driver that this is the mindset. And I thought they really missed an opportunity to instruct me as a new driver how to handle myself when that situation should arise. So that for me was the ugly about HPDE.
100% agree.
100% agree.
So I talked to him, the driver, afterwards for a little bit. He wasn't in a great mood. And I also reached out to him through email, trying to see if we can help in any way, because it wasn't the best situation. So hopefully we didn't lose a driver. That would be good.
Yeah. I don't know that I would feel comfortable coming back after that kind of a situation, because it sounds like they were more annoyed that drivers who had paid money to be in the race the next session were going to potentially miss out and cause a ruckus than teaching something in what should have been an instructional situation.
Yep. And do it in front of everybody. But
yeah.
And in front of everybody. Like
Mhm.
it was.
And be really proud of it.
And proud. Yep. And
Yeah.
talked about it the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
anyway.
So I hate to end on an ugly note, but I got to drive really fast.
All right. So
It wasn't
ladies,
that fast compared to everybody else, but for me, it was very fast.
So ladies, it's an HPDE. We go there to learn. What did we learn that was non-driving related? Anything?
Always check your gas.
Gas is
Yeah,
good.
that was one.
Your tire pressure.
Tire pressure would
tire
be
pressure
nice.
is a good one.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I'm trying to think, what did I learn?
I need more morning people on our team. That's all I'm saying.
Not to cook on a cooktop.
Well, it's not a cooktop, so
Yeah, not to cook on.
cooktop.
Yeah,
It's an event that could definitely use the addition of a whiteboard, a really big one.
We have one.
yeah. We actually had one with us.
All right. What did we learn driving?
Don't screw up.
No. Be nice.
Just kidding.
Um,
How'd we do on our goals? What did we learn? Any ahas?
no.
I learned everything. I learned
did.
everything because I knew nothing. So everything that I learned today, I feel like I gained knowledge. I
You
learned
probably learned more because actually what you knew to do was backwards wrong. So you
Yeah.
were kind of starting from negative, really,
everything.
for a track driver.
No,
I
I
had
had
to go, but up.
Yep. And you did.
I learned to trust the car a little bit more. This
You
weekend.
did. You did.
Mm,
You know what?
no.
You know what? Go ahead.
I had no aha moments. I was just still working on my junk.
I would
joke.
really. I will politely request that you add to your repertoire for every HPDE. You need to have somebody ride with you.
That's something I should do right off the bat. Is
And
that yes?
we learned, because Miss Elizabeth, stealing from the future podcast of next week, she got a little sick when she was driving with me, and she tried some ginger pills and the C-bands and was like,
Oh, good.
so.
It's the first one to try the ginger pills properly.
Lisa, do you agree that worked? She seems much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. And I dodged a bullet not going out with you.
Wow, I'm so loved.
Nice.
Got to give
It's
you a
an
hard time.
experience.
No worries. So speaking as a person who drove with everybody on this call except my beautiful bride, who will never let me in the car. Let's see. Debbie, you learned basically everything from the ground up on a track, but one of the things that you were very, very good at that you don't even probably know is you're able to catch a car. Like if the car gets out of control, you catch it.
Yeah, I did feel that a couple times.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I've always been somebody who never freaks out about driving in the snow, is pretty good about catching myself when I'm sliding, if it's icy. I've always been a very level-headed person that doesn't panic in those situations.
Right.
And it felt like that. It felt like I would feel if I were driving in a slippery situation on the highway and just correcting it. It felt very natural.
Yep, and you did really well at that. So I think next time you could probably, there's a bunch of things to work on, obviously, but one of the things you could work on is your senses of, like, there's a few times where we were doing exactly what we should have been doing and you didn't know that we were slipping a little bit, which is where we wanted to be. And we need to work on that a little bit more. But your ability to catch things allowed me to help you progress much faster than normally with the HPDE one. So that was really, really good. Miss Jen, you were fantastic this weekend. You were like a whole new driver.
Yeah.
You were.
Am I ready for 3, Mr. Bill?
You are ready for 3, my dear. It's time to go. It's time to join Vicki and say pew, pew, pew. Mid-Ohio. Robin.
That's a noise my car makes.
Pew, pew, pew.
The noise Robin makes when he sees flags dance.
Yes.
You did really well. Miss Vicki, I have no idea what
Thank
you did.
you.
You never look. You never let me drive.
No, what I did discover was that I feel now uncomfortable without having the Apex Pro in my car, which is probably good and bad. I think that I have become a little bit reliant on it to get the max out of my tire,s and not having it in there. I actually missed it, and it was the first time
Good.
that I had that sensation that I really want to have that Apex in there so I can do a reading on it and see whether I'm getting the most out of what I need to get out of the track.
Cool. Miss Lisa, how about you? What about your driving? Did you get anything new? Any new thoughts, any feeling? We didn't really get to push it with what you were doing, but
No, I didn't get to push it, but I didn't break anything. So, and I got out there. Those are the 2 benefits.
Yep. Not breaking things.
Not everybody on this podcast tonight can say that, Lisa.
That's true.
Okay.
We're going to draw them all in.
Okay. All right. Miss Debbie, you have led me into it. So here we are. We are running behind schedule. We have very few people awake. We have no pancakes. I go get the pancakes. I go back. I go out with Miss Deb. I'm trying to help her learn the track before she has to go out to her class and go out on track for her first time driving. And it's a lot easier from the right-hand seat to learn a track. So we go out, first lap, it's a little slippery, car's cold, track is really cold. I think we were first or second group out there. Track is cold. So it's slippery. So I'm basically talking through the intercom on how the track is going and what the turns are and what you should be doing in general, a high level overview of what the line is. So second lap going through, same thing, maybe perhaps talk a little bit less. Third lap, we come around. I feel the tires are starting to heat up and the track's starting to come in because there's other cars out there with me. We go around turn 1. I'm like, that wasn't so bad. I tested the brakes. We could stop. Life was good. I literally say, hey, we're finally starting to get some heat into the track and the tires. We're good to go. We can push it a little bit. Right as I'm going up over turn 5. As I come down, when you regain the weight after going down turn 5, the front left-hand tire rolls off the bead because it was too low of pressure, which then takes us out into what I will call lovely the green fields of NJMP, where Debbie proceeds to close her eyes. And I proceed to then roll the other tire bead off the car. And now we have 2 flat tires, which sucked just a little bit because we were running a staggered set of tires, meaning the fronts were smaller than the rears. And I had brought an extra set of rears so I could run, a square set. Unfortunately, if one of the tires was ruined and it was a rear, we would have had 3 rears and 1 front, and we would not have had enough tires. That would have sucked a whole lot, but it turned out we were okay. And we were able to do everything right. And Adam was able to share with me the car. So that's what happened when Debbie and I did a little safari expedition.
First time I was ever on a track. Ever.
That's right. I wanted to show you the highs and lows.
I just want to rip that Band-Aid off early.
I'm telling you, I think I handled it, and Bill's like, huh. And I'm like, well, that was a thing that just happened.
That's right. That's right.
We just, I figured that worst thing that could have happened already happened, and we were okay. So.
And I'm going to take that piece of advice from you. Like if I'm not great with ride-alongs and I need to do more ride-alongs. So now I just know if something goes wrong, I just close my eyes. I'll be okay.
That's right. I had no control over anything that was happening in that moment. No control. I just didn't also want to see it.
It's a good way to think about it, though.
Ginger pills and C-bands.
Yeah. No, I was actually pretty fine. Like I didn't think, I wasn't queasy at all. I said, "Oh crap" a lot internally. You didn't hear me.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
And that's it. You said only that word? Because I could tell you.
Internally, no. That's not the word, but I don't know what your rating is on this podcast. So
it requires me to edit. How about that?
Yeah. So Bill can say that the language got much saltier as the day progressed.
I think the funniest part when you realize that the Garmin that we put into the car was recording audio, you're like, "I'm like a sailor out there." I'm like, yeah, you are. So.
It's true. There was some salty commentary. It was commentating my own driving a lot, and not all of it was complimentary.
Why did you lift? I don't know, Debbie. Why did you lift? Anyway, so I'm guessing the "would you do it again" question is yes. So let's go to the second part. What would you change if you could about the event besides the coolant? Let's move on.
What would I change about the event? I wish the classroom instruction was better.
Okay. Miss Vicki?
I do.
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm just working on my own stuff.
Working on her junk.
I know, working on my junk. It's just, I wish I had a little bit more time on the track. I was giving my car out, but I gave my car out to Jennifer so she could finish her last lap while I was working on some other things. So, and I think she did. She ended up taking out the little car, right? How did it run?
No.
You didn't have any heat soak issues with it. I think I brought it in so it could cool off.
No, I didn't have any issues with it. It's
Okay.
a different car though.
It is.
Well, let's expand upon that. What's different about the two cars? One is a NB turbo Miata, and one is an ND non-turbo generation.
I didn't feel like her tires gripped as well as the Miata.
I would have to say that too, because I was having issues with my tires.
Yeah. So, and I didn't feel like I was going as fast in Vicky's as I was with the Miata because I didn't feel like I trusted the car as much. So, but I haven't driven it in a very, very long time. So, I did get a little sideways coming up around 5 at one point and just slowed down a lot. So, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun. It was kind of fun to drive something different. Maybe if I had gone out again in it, I would have felt a little bit more comfortable. But
yeah, I was hoping to jump into Bill's BMW, but I went to go grab it, and then I saw it drive away with Adam. So so it was fine. He was good.
No worries.
No worries.
So Lisa, what would you have changed about our event if you could?
I would have brought a jacket.
A coat, a winter coat.
Cold.
A winter coat. No, I would, next time I look forward to figuring out a way to bring my own car.
Oh, that would be fantastic. All right. Highlights, ladies. Highlights. What's your highlight?
Just did this. Highlights, lowlights.
Did we?
Good, bad,
Debbie
ugly.
coming. Debbie
Yes.
coming was late for me.
I think Debbie and Lisa getting out on a track for the first time is fantastic.
I think my personal highlight was, I don't even know if it was the last lap of the last lap of my last session, but just coming out of that bowl and just coming out of the turn and just like being on the floor and not being afraid and just flooring it all the way until you got to the point you had to brake. That was exhilarating, terrifying, but exhilarating.
You made tremendous gains over the weekend.
Yeah, it was. I remember going out the first session on Sunday, and we weren't allowed to pass for a long time. Like it was like 2 laps before they let us pass. And it just felt like I was going so slow. And you're like, that was your best track time. And I'm like, it couldn't have been, because it felt like we were, poking around the track for so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's amazing how quickly that you can get skilled and learn.
Would you
and
do
get
it
better.
again, Deb?
In a heartbeat.
Well,
Heck yeah.
What about you, Lisa? Would you do it again?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like we got some more people playing, which is fantastic. Fantastic. Ladies, great weekend, great event. It may not be our last event. Maybe. We'll see.
it's the last event for the season.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
TBD. We'll talk later. I'm trying to stay out of the tub. Don't want to sleep in the tub tonight. Debbie, thank you for coming on. Lisa, thank you for coming on.
It was
Vicki,
fun.
Jen, you're stuck with
Thank
me.
you for having me.
No,
Yeah,
it's
this was
quite fun.
great.
We will
Great weekend.
reconvene with the entire group next Monday if you guys are available. If not, we will talk about you behind your back and record it for everybody.
Fine. I won't be here, so you can talk smack about me.
No problem.
I
No
wouldn't
problem.
miss it for the world. I don't
That
trust.
sounds
I don't
good.
trust those girls.
That just
love
means
it.
you know them. Anyway, great weekend, ladies. Thank you for coming. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Very few things went not the way we wished. A little bit of gas, a little bit of tire pressure.
A little
However,
bit of pancakes.
Bit of
pancakes were good. Pancakes.
Pancakes
But it
were
worked
good.
out. It all worked
It all
out.
worked out.
It always works out.
It always works out exactly.
Exactly. Now we start planning next year, unless we squeeze in 2 more races. But we'll talk about that later. That's
Okay.
right. Oh wait, I forgot. Has anybody been watching the Instagram today?
No.
No.
There is a contest going on, ladies.
Bill has initiated a contest.
Yes.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
with the help of 3 of our fellow podcasts, now 4, we have the Survive the 25 pod contest, where several podcast hosts are entered into a contest where we are trying to lose 25 pounds in 5 months. So 5 pounds a month. So the deadline is April 15th. We also have to read 5 books on racing and driving. And we also have to, what else am I supposed to do? Oh, either go-kart for an hour or do sim racing for an hour each month. And you will get a number of points, and to the winners goes the spoils. And this is open to our listeners and anybody who wants to participate with us. We have a scorecard. We have potentially, we're going to do swag. We're going to give swag to one winner, one of the selected winners. If we have more than one, we'll do a random drawing. This should be fun. We're doing this with the 91 Octane podcast. We're doing it with the Racer FF podcast. We're doing it with this other podcast I think you might have heard called the Everyone Racers podcast. We might be familiar with those guys. And late breaking news. We have one of the hosts from the Slip Angle podcast doing this as well. So this is going to be big. Who knows? We even have listeners participating. Who knew? It's fantastic.
Who knew? Awesome.
So,
All right.
wow, don't sound so enthusiastic there, Vic. All right, goodbye. I wanna go to bed.
Oh, I'm in.
No, you're not. You lose 25 pounds, you'll be negative. Anyway,
Really.
thank you, ladies. Had a great night. Had a great weekend. It was fantastic. We'll see you on the track again. Thanks.
Thanks.
Wow. You
Thanks,
sound
guys.
so enthused.
I'm tired. Bye. See ya. Woohoo. No. It
It's
was good.
25 pounds. now
Yeah, really.
Post race hangover.
go lose some weight, fatty.
That's right. Come on it.
Great podcast. Go lose some weight, fatty.
That's Dr. Fatty to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, you get excited about that part, don't you? Vicky?
It's funny. It's funny. That's
Said one of
funny.
my jokes
Jeez.
funny, but anyway, all right, that's it, ladies. Thank you.